Alright, so today we're going to be continuing our lesson on place values, except today we are focusing on place values specifically after the decimal. So, when we are working with decimals, in most instances, we want to think about rounding. And so when we're rounding a decimal to whatever place value, whether that be the nearest tenth or the nearest hundredth, whatever the case is, and we'll go over examples later on in the lesson, we want to consider how we're rounding, whether we're rounding up or rounding down. So in this visual, as you can see, whenever we have a number that is 4 or less than 4, we are going to be rounding down, or in other terms, just keeping that number the same. But then if we have a number that is 5 or greater than 5, which is why I wrote the plus sign by the 5 and the arrow pointing up, then we are going to be rounding up. Right here we have just a blank canvas. So we have a decimal and then 3 place values, the tenths place, the hundredths, and the thousands. These place value terms are different than the place value terms that you see when we're looking at place values in front of the decimal. Difference is that you have a different ending. So instead of just tens place, behind the decimal, it's set as tenths. So we have the THS, which I highlighted in red, and same with the hundredths. It's not hundreds anymore, it's hundredths, and same with thousands. So the tenths place is in the very front, the hundredths place is right in the middle, and the thousands place is the third place. So now let's look at our first example with these 3 place values behind the decimal. We have the decimal number 0.333. Have to round this decimal 0.33 to the nearest hundredth. So as you see, I highlighted or wrote the hundredth in like a bluish purplish color so that we know exactly what number we are rounding. And in order to round this number either up or down, we have to refer to the number or the place value right next to it. So I wrote that I have that red arrow pointing to the next number. And so because that number is a 3, which is less than 4, we're going to be rounding down or keeping it the same. So going back to our question, or what we need to do, which is round the decimal 0.33 to the nearest hundredth, answer would be 0.33. 0, or you could just keep that spot blank. So for our second example, we have the decimal number 0.465. We need to round this decimal number to the nearest tenth. So we look at the tenths place value. In order to round this whole decimal number to the nearest tenths, we have to start at the tenths place value, but refer back to the hundredths place value, which is the place value right next to it, to help us decide whether we round the number up or down. And so because 6 is greater than 5, we would round the number up. So it would be 0.5. 0.5 would be our answer, or you could write 0.500. Either way, it's the same thing, so it's totally up to you. Okay, so moving forward, we are going to expand and look at 3 additional place values after the decimal. So along with the tenths place, the hundredths place, the thousands place, there's also the 10,000s place, the 100,000s place, and the millions place. Well, we have the decimal number 0.7 0.23409. In this example, we have to round the decimal to the nearest 10,000. And the 4 in this example is in the 10,000 spot. So in order to round this 4 or this decimal to the nearest 10,000s, we have to look at the 10,000th place, which is the 4 value, and look to the place value right next to it and decide based on that number if we would round it up or down. Because the place value next to it is a 0, which is less than 4, we'd round down, or in other terms keep it the same, which would give us the answer 0.7234. So I hope that makes sense. If anything is unclear, please leave questions below in the comments. So for the very last example, we have our decimal 0.155278. So in this example, we have to round the decimal to the nearest 100,000th. So go ahead and pause this video to solve it on your own. You got it. Feel free to refer back to the previous examples that I went over, but when you feel that you have the answer and you've rounded it correctly, resume to check your answer. Okay, so if you got 0.15528, then your answer is correct. Again, we would round up in this example because the place value right next to the 100,000th place, which is the millionth place, and there was an 8 in that spot, would cause us to round up. So good job if you got this correct, and if not, definitely go back and rewatch the video, or once again leave questions for me in the comments. I'll be so happy to respond. Thank you. Wait, before you leave, go ahead and check out these lessons up above. You can watch this lesson, or you can watch that one, or you can watch both. Oh, and while you're at it, please do me a huge favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can do so by clicking out of this video and hitting the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Bye.